Okay, if you're watching this video, you're probably pregnant or you've already had your baby or babies and you're wondering, when can you start having sex again? So after childbirth, there's this initial healing time. I think it probably varies depending on country to country. I'm from Canada, and in Canada, the medical timeline is about 6 weeks. And at your 6 weeks checkup, you're usually going to be told by your doctor or your midwife if you're ready to have sex. So even if you reach that 6-week mark where you're cleared medically in order to be sexually active, you might not feel ready to start participating in sexual activity, and your muscles and skin and scar tissue of the area also might not feel ready. So let's dive into how you actually know when you are ready as an individual. So the first thing that you want to think about is, are you interested in sex yet? There are so many changes that happen in your life when you have a baby. So your lifestyle is different, your sleep patterns are usually way different, and your fatigue levels and what you're focusing on. So you might just not have an interest in sex yet. And I just want to normalize that. That is okay. And that is something that so many people in the same situation as you also experience. So keeping that in mind that's a big factor. The second factor is, are your pelvic floor muscles actually ready? And what I mean by ready is, are they able to relax well enough so that if you participate in penetrative intercourse, you're able to receive penetration pain-free? Are they able to contract enough that it feels comfortable for you and that you can feel aroused and orgasm? And the pelvic floor muscular component of this is where a pelvic floor physiotherapist comes in, because we can assess those muscles and help you by giving you treatment or exercises that you can work on to get your muscles back to a place that they feel ready for sexual activity. I'm just going to quickly show you those muscles. So you have your pelvis, which is at the bottom of your body. And if you looked at your pelvis from below, your pubic bone is here with your clitoris, the tailbone is here, and the pelvic floor fills this whole of your pelvis. So if you had a vaginal birth, your pelvic floor usually stretches out, and you may or may not have experienced tearing or an episiotomy, and oftentimes that's going to be in this region here. If you had a C-section, then your incision is just above your pubic bone. Your pelvic floor muscles are right there, and so the pelvic floor muscles will change as you move through pregnancy, but they also can be impacted just by the surgery themselves. So these pelvic floor muscles are right here all around, impacting your clitoral tissue, your vaginal tissue. And so if these muscles are too tight, it's likely going to feel difficult to receive penetration, or it's going to feel painful. And if they are too tight, it might also feel like you can't feel sensation the same way in the clitoral region. And sometimes you might have a really hard time reactivating your muscles after childbirth. And so it might not feel like you have the strength or the contraction in order to feel arousal and orgasm. And so a pelvic physiotherapist can help you know exactly where your muscles are at postpartum and what exercises you can do to help with their healing, to help along that healing journey. The third thing could be that your skin is sore or painful when attempting any sort of sexual activity in this region. So could be irritated around the clitoral tissue, could be around the vaginal tissue. And so if the skin is tense, if there's any scar tissue, if you had any tearing or an episiotomy, that could mean that the tissue here is less elastic than it used to be. And if it's less elastic, it's not going to be able to stretch as well, and it's maybe not going to be comfortable to stretch. And if penetration isn't part of what your sexual activity is, maybe this region has some scar tissue or irritation too. So any touch of your clitoral tissue doesn't feel good either. Now, the really great thing about this is a pelvic physiotherapist can teach you what you can do to regain elasticity of the tissue and to desensitize if there's any hypersensitivity of the area. The fourth thing is that your hormones can impact the lubrication of the area. So oftentimes postpartum, especially if you're breastfeeding, your hormones are actually going to create a bit of a change in the vaginal tissue, so the vaginal tissue is actually drier. And so that dryness can, if you don't use enough lube, that dryness can actually create pain, or it can make it feel painful. But also that dryness can make you feel like you aren't aroused or you're not interested in sexual activity. And number 5 is that you just went through a big change. So whether you're still in pregnancy or you're postpartum, your body goes through a lot of changes with pregnancy and postpartum. It did this incredible thing of growing a human and birthing a human, however that human came into the world, and your body has to adapt and change as you do that. And sometimes what happens throughout that process is you start to feel a bit disconnected from your body because it is going through these pretty quick changes. And if you're feeling disconnected from your body, you might not actually feel interested in sexual activity, because intimacy and sexual activity usually involves your physical body. And if you're feeling disconnected from yourself, it could be very challenging for you to connect with another person on that level. So sometimes the best place to start would actually be to start reconnecting with your own body in a way that feels safe and comfortable for you right now. And so maybe that is starting to breathe deeply again, work on deep breath. Maybe it's gentle yoga. Maybe it's certain exercises or movements that feel really good and help you reconnect with your body. Maybe it's working with a yoga instructor, a physiotherapist, a Pilates instructor who can help you start to move your body and feel this sense of being in your body. Maybe you need to start there and start to really regain how you feel in your own body and get that sense of who you are in your own body again, taking the goal of sex completely off the table to start, and just really starting to feel what it's like to be within your body. And sometimes you just need time to move through that process to really reconnect with your body before you can consider connecting with another person and another person's body. I really hope this video helped you. To recap, there are a few different steps that you can take to know if you are ready to have sex postpartum. The first one is, are you medically ready? So your primary care provider can tell you that. The second one is, are your muscles, skin, and sensation in the area ready? And your pelvic physiotherapist can help you with that. The third one is, are you psychologically ready? Do you need to process and move through a few things in order for you to feel ready? And a mental health professional could help you with that. The other thing is, do you feel like your lifestyle is actually allowing for you to feel interested in sexual activity? And if not, that's normal, and that probably will change as time goes on. And then of course the other aspect is, if you don't feel connected with yourself, then it'll be very hard to feel connected with another person intimately. And so reconnecting with your body can be a really good way to start that journey. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to ask me in the comments below. And if you want to work with one of our amazing pelvic physiotherapists, you can visit the link in the description of this video and we can see you over video call. Have a good one.